Are they good? Okay. Got to thank MSE Club for this. MSE Alumni Association. Okay. Welcome again. Thank you for coming and joining us this evening for the Alumni Forum. My name is Derek. And before we start, right, shall we put our hands together as we welcome Prof. Wong to open us?
Okay, thank you. And especially welcome to the guests, our 7 distinguished guests. 6. One still coming, I suppose, right? And we all have to thank MSE Club as well as the Alumni Association for putting this event together. The second time we're holding this. This is one of the few events which is co-sponsored by both clubs, both the Alumni as well as MSE Club. And the night tonight is a night of calibration. What that means, one thing in common between all of you people here in this room tonight is that you have chosen MSE at some point. Some guys earlier, some guys later, but we have the whole spectrum here, right? Calibration means that whatever conceptions or misconceptions you have in choosing MSE, now is the time to calibrate. How? By listening to people who have traveled the same path as you did, finished, went on to the working world, and had a few years of experience. They'll each have a story to tell. You can match that story with your own conception of what education is all about. So for that, we have the 6 distinguished guests to thank. They are Ms. Yan Hua from Global Foundries, Professor Lam Yan Ming from our own school, Mr. Kam Yi Fai from Private Equity Research. I guess that's the banking industry, right? Funding, money. Mr. Alvin from Tax Advisory, government job. Mr. Vincent Lau, Actonus, I guess it's a consultancy?
Yeah, it's a web consultancy.
Huh?
Web consultancy.
Web consultancy. And Miss Eugenia Low, Guangyang Secondary, and we're still waiting for Miss Pearly Lin from Shell. So as you can see, we have a whole wide spectrum of representatives across the whole industry. Now, we may have changed that recruitment map several times over the years, but we used to have a Singapore map showing in every recruitment talk, whether it's in Suncheck City or whatever, there's a map that shows the company logos all over the map, telling you that these are all the places MSE graduates work from. So this is a live representation of that map with logos. And more than just a sign, a symbol on the map, each one has a personal story to tell. So the more exciting part of the forum, as the name implies, is that you should ask them questions. And the most relevant question is, how does 4 years in MSE prepare you for this job? So that should be a question anybody can ask. Okay? So who is the host? Ricky? I will hand the thing back to the facilitator, who is Ricky Chua, to handle the evening. He is also the president of the Alumni Association. Welcome, Ricky.
Thank you, Bob. Yes, slight correction here. I'm not the facilitator for today. The facilitator for today is Derek. Okay, thank you. I'm Ricky, and I'm the president for MSE AA. So I would like to think back a little bit to just after you joined material science school, or maybe just before. There was definitely a point in time where you were thinking, once I graduate from MSE, what can I possibly do? True? Some of you might be thinking at that point in time, you're like, what do I learn in material science and engineering? More importantly, where can I work after that? Today we will answer that question. Some of you will have this preconception that after I graduate from MSE, I will probably go into engineering. True. A majority of the students will go into engineering, but there are probably some of you who want to do something slightly different. Now, I knew that I wanted to do teaching, and I was wondering whether what I studied was applicable. Today, you will have the chance to ask Eugenia, and she will tell you whether what she learned in MSE is really useful or not. Some of you will probably be very daring and you want to start your own business. You want to be an entrepreneur. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Today is the perfect opportunity as well. There are entrepreneurs here. Vincent is an entrepreneur, you can ask him. And maybe some of you might be even more daring and say, hey, I'm an engineer by training, but I love money. And I want to go into banking. Yes, I did not graduate from NBS, but maybe these companies will still want me. And then you have Ifai and Alvin here, who will tell you what life is like in the finance industry, particularly if you are an engineer. How will you survive there? How do you survive there? I have no idea. Okay. And of course, Yan Hua is in engineering, Global Foundries, which has everything to do with your semiconductor things that you learn from Prof. Gan and Prof. Subodh. the things that you probably don't like so much, but you have to anyway. But if you do intend to go to semiconducting, please ask Yanhua. And of course, last but not least, if you intend to do research. The most important thing, if you intend to do research and go into that world of R&D, if you're crazy enough, you want to do a PhD, unproblem. I know I was crazy enough to do a PhD. And she convinced me that I'm right, I am crazy. So, for tonight, ask all the questions you want. This is a very rare opportunity to get a real-life sense of what the working world is out there. So, make the best of today's opportunity, okay? Thank you very much.
Okay, without further ado, let's invite our first speaker, Ms. Yan Hua from Global Foundry. She graduated from NSE in 2005. So after every speaker, there's a Q&A session too. Let's go ahead and ask all the questions you want. Okay, Ms. Yan Hua, please.
Firstly, thanks to Ricky and Derek for inviting me to the speak. And I just realized here we have 6 speakers, and I'm the only one who is still doing engineering. So I don't know whether Ricky is right or wrong. Just now he said most of the students here will become engineers, but doesn't seem true from the percentage here. But one thing I need to say is engineering is still important and challenging. If you don't know what engineering is doing, thinking of those big companies, actually most of the big companies in the world are still doing engineering. So if you join engineering field, at least the first thing you can learn is how a big company is doing. So if you have a dream, one day you want to build your own business and build it to be big enough, then you need to learn first. So is it motivating enough for you to join engineering or reconsider engineering as a job again? Actually, as an engineer, I can say it's a tough job. And also, it doesn't sound so fancy. It doesn't give you a very big paycheck at the year end and give you a very high bonus. And also, technical things can be very tough, even for us who have studied engineering for 4 years. But still, because of all those training, compared to other people from business school, you know your logic thinking is much better. And you're better at handling stress level. Correct? So, before I start everything, I need to introduce myself. My name is Yan Hua, and my background is quite straightforward. I spent 8 years here in MSE. The first 4 years, I was here as an undergraduate student, as most of you. Then later, I accepted the Global Foundry and the NTU scholarship, then become a postgrad student here for 4 years, before I joined Global Foundry in year 2009. Actually, one question, how many of you actually know Global Foundries before? Then how about Chartered Semiconductor? Yeah, I think Chartered is more famous. Actually, last century, 1990 something, when semiconductor industry is still the booming industry, it used to give bonus of 8 months. Same as today, the banking, the oil field, some like offshore, or some other industry like the future, the energy industry. So any industry actually has an up and down. So when you choose a job, my suggestion is not to look at the up or down, look at what you can learn from your history, from the industry. For my experience, I have in Global Foundry for actually 5 years. Because when I'm doing my PhD here, every week we go for training to Global Foundry. Then later I joined the company for 1 year. In the 5 years, I learned a lot of things. The first 4 years, I learned the technical skill, how to communicate with people, and how to do a presentation. Then last year when I joined the company, it was really a tough year because I was working as a reliability engineer. Then as a reliability engineer, we need to make sure this product is able to be working for 10 years or 20 years. So as a reliability engineer, we do a lot of things. I need to do the testing. Then I need to link the testing result to the performance of the chips or the wafers. And also, when there's any issue, I need to talk with the process engineer and even the customer engineer. And sometimes, a lot of times, we need to ask questions from customers. So my experience is I need to understand every aspect of the industry. Actually, for all engineering work is the same. In order to be a good engineer, you cannot just focus on what you are doing. You need to focus on the whole industry. You need to look at the industry from the whole one. You need to look at every aspect. Then later, when you're about to open your own business, or you want to do something else, you know you are well prepared. And in a few years of engineering work, you have to learn a lot of things. How to handle stress, how to work with people, how to communicate with people, and how, most importantly, is how to do planning and analytical thinking, and how to really do things rather than just thinking. So, I should say, as an engineer, the work is not so fancy, and the pay is not so high, at least for the first few years. But still, think of what you want to do, what you can learn from your background and from the experience. You can always change your plan when you meet new things, but still have a plan in mind. Have a plan in mind is very important. Think what you want to do, at least for 5 years. Even you want to go banking later, a few years engineering training can still be beneficial for you. And come back to, actually I have 3 questions from Derek. The last question and the most important thing is how MSE has trained us or prepared us for the job. One thing I want to say is never think what you learn in school or on the class is useless. Never, really never. When I start working, I just realized my background for semiconductor is really not enough. I have to pick up all the notes. I have to get the notes from Dr. Gan to revise everything. And also, thanks to all the trainings in school, because from there you know how to communicate with your classmates, how to do a project. And it's very important when you deal with the project. Don't think it's useless. Don't think it doesn't come in the exam, the project doesn't come in the exam. It's very useful. Later when you start working, when you start to do a project, you will know how important is the planning, the collaboration with other colleagues or classmates, and also how to present your final result to the other people. So, school learning is very important. You have 4 years here, and actually the life is not so stressful. I know a lot of us like to play computer games, to handle around, to go around with friends, but still try to make use of all the opportunities you are given here, because it will be very beneficial later when you start working. Actually, I didn't prepare a lot for this talk. So, any questions regarding to anything like engineering or any like what you're supposed to do, what you